Welcome back to CT Buzz. On Thursday, we have a special airing called The Next Generation: Breaking Fentanyl's Grip. You'll see 5 families that have experienced tragedy due to fentanyl, discuss their losses, and how to make change through activism and education. Drazen Rubin Law is one of the sponsors of that special. We are joined by certified elder law attorney Stephen Rubin to tell us more. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start with this. What has your firm seen in regards to the issue of fentanyl, and how do you help your clients?
So we had a team member who lost her son to fentanyl overdose. And prior to that, we had started talking about what we could do to help and how we could adjust plans. And it started us on our new type of trust, which we call the good behavior trust. But the concept is really making sure that the people with addiction know we still love them, we still care for them, but we're also going to protect them, because a parent's biggest fear is leaving a chunk of money to that person, then they pass away and it gets used for a drug purchase. So we've structured our trust around this, where they still are receiving their money over a period of time, but there's a third party in charge of it, making sure they get it, who has authority in a lot of cases to order a drug test to make sure the person's fall in the line. If they do need to go to rehab, there's provisions in there allowing for payment of it, but also requirements that they stay a long enough period. And we can customize it to every person's situation so that they can kind of figure out what their own family need is.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can loved ones help a family member who is struggling with addiction?
Yeah, the biggest struggle, I think, is that people always think, oh, I don't love them anymore. The reality is we still love them. They have an addiction. We may not like their actions. We don't like their behavior, but they need to know that while we don't like those things, we still support them as a person. And I found that that has worked even in my own life with seeing friends who've gone through addiction issues. I've made it clear, I don't like how you're behaving right now, but I still care for you and I want to see you get better. And I found that that has helped. It also helps when other family members admit it to themselves, because it's really easy to live in denial that a friend, a family member, a spouse is going through these problems. And sometimes until we admit it to ourselves, we can't help them.
Sure, it sounds like it's really important just to start off with having a conversation.
Absolutely. We have to have that conversation. And sometimes that conversation's with ourselves. And that's the hardest one, I think. But we have to acknowledge that in our hearts, what's going on around us, because if we're not seeing it or admitting it to ourselves and living in denial, then we can't plan for them, we can't help them, we can't do anything. And that's usually the first step.
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on family dynamics too, this can be an awkward topic. How do you, encourage people to go about, planning ahead?
Rip off the Band-Aid. Most topics can be awkward at some point in time, and you have to have those conversations. We have to acknowledge that things are awkward and actually talk through them, because otherwise, if we ignore everything that's awkward, we'd never talk anyway. So sometimes it's just about actually doing it. Make a list, start with a couple ideas, and then sit down and have that conversation as a family, and then work with a professional to do the next steps. But you have to start the conversation.
All right, it sounds like the conversation might be the answer to this next question, but what is the biggest mistake, other than not talking about it, do you see families make?
Ignoring it. Assuming it'll go away, I think are the two combination issues. We see a lot of families that'll come in and they'll talk about wanting to do these things, but they don't actually go through with it because they're afraid of what it'll mean. And therefore they just decide, you know what, it'll be better by the time I'm gone. We don't have to deal with it. And I think that's a huge mistake, because I've seen it time and time again. The people that ignore the problem, it actually exacerbates itself. And then then no one's there to support that person. So we don't want to ignore these things.
Yeah, it'll give everyone involved a peace of mind.
Absolutely. It's all about comfort. At the end of the day, documents, planning, all of that stuff is about peace of mind. It's about staying in control and making sure that our wishes are followed.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time today, Steve.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and you can learn more by heading to drazenrubin.com. We will also, of course, have these details on our website. Keep it right here after the break.